In this lecture, we are going to study about the elements of PPAP or Production Part Approval Process. Below is the list of all 18 elements accompanied by a brief description for each element. First of all, we have design documentation. So what is a design documentation? It is basically a document that contains the technical drawings and also the purchase order and sometimes the list of product composition to ensure everything aligns and meet the requirements. So what does the purchase order do? It is used to confirm that correct part is being ordered. And the material composition or say the product composition information gives us the information about the material used to manufacture the parts meets the customer's specific requirement. We have another element, engineering change documentation. This is required if the request is for amendments to be made to the existing part. That means if there is a change in part or a product, the document requesting and approving the change called engineering change documentation is required in the PPAP report package. Third element, we have customer engineering approval. Sometimes if required, there needs to be evidence of approval from the customer's engineering department and this is called customer's engineering approval. Another element, design failure mode and effect analysis. We will talk about design FMEA as a separate quality tool, but just for your understanding, this is also one of the elements and should be documented. It is a comprehensive risk assessment which maps out all possible failures within the design. The failure may be due to the reduced or low performance of the product or low product life, safety and regulatory issues and product malfunctions. DFMEA studies these failure modes and their probability of occurrence. The sixth element, we have process flow diagram. This lays out every step in creating the part from start to finish. The process flow includes incoming material, assembly, test, rework, and shipping. We can even include the value stream maps as a process flow diagram. You can revise or go through the value stream map lectures for more on this. Another element, we have process failure mode and effects analysis. The process failure mode and effect analysis or PFMEA looks at the process at the manufacturing level. Unlike DFMEA, which looks the failure modes in the product, this looks at all possible failures within the manufacturing process itself. Control plan are the preventive measures designed to mitigate the possibilities outlined in the PFMEA. So, control plan is, we can say it is the output of PFMEA. The control plan lists all the product special characteristics and inspection methods required to deliver products that continually meet the customer quality requirements. Measurement system analysis studies. Measurement system analysis record the specification and detail of all the equipments that will be used. Measurement system analysis also includes term called gauge repeatability and reproducibility or gauge R&R, which studies on the measurement equipment used during assembly or quality control checks. It also includes the calibration records for all the gauges and measuring equipment. Dimensional results. This is a validation check to ensure the measurements on the drawing are correct in relation to the end result. Next element, we have records of the material and performance tests. This includes the design verification plan and report or DVP or DVPR and may also include copies of all the certification documents for all materials. The design verification plan and reports are the validation records for each test performed on the part, including all relevant certification for the materials. We have another element, initial process studies, which consists of documentation of all the processes that will take place and the components that make up the product. The initial process studies consist the statistical process control charts on the critical characteristics of the product. Control chart and process control studies are used to study if the critical processes are stable and demonstrate normal variation and are running near the intended nominal value. Qualified laboratory documentation. Qualified laboratory documentation is made of certifications from any lab testing. This could be for the in-house lab test or any contract test facilities used for the material certification or validation. We have another element, appearance approval report, which is a verification that customer has approved the appearance of the product. This report verifies that the customer has inspected the final product and it meets all the required appearance specification for the design. Appearance requirement could include information regarding color, designs and textures, etc. Next, we have another element, sample production part. A sample production part is given to customer for their approval. Next, we have master sample, which is an example of the final version of the product which requires sign-off from the customer. It also serves as a benchmark to compare the standard production parts if any quality question arises. Next, we have checking aids, which are the list of all the required checks to be done during production, including calibration of the tools. It should include all the tools used to inspect, test, and measure parts during the assembly process. Next element, customer specific requirements. These elements holds any specific request made by customer. These elements of the submission package is where any special customer requirements are recorded or saved. For bulk materials, the customer specific requirements shall be recorded on the bulk material requirements checklist. Finally, we have the final element, part submission warrant or the part submission warrant form. This summarizes everything included in the PPAP submission and declaration signatures. The part submission warrant or PSW form is a summary of the entire PPAP submission. A PSW is required for each product part unless otherwise stated by the customer. So these were some of the elements that should be included in a PPAP submission or during production part approval process. Note that production part approval process is a vendor job or is the job of manufacturer. So suppose for a big material purchase, a customer or an assembly line may ask manufacturer or vendor the PPAP document. All these elements could be a little hectic to memorize at first, but I've also provided you a PDF document in the resources. The PPAP process does not need all the elements to be included. The customers may choose their own elements to be included in the PPAP form. Please do not forget to download the PDF file from the resources. Thank you so much for being with me so far.